into the outdoors life as
Oh
it
yeah.
relates to like all the races that you had lined up going on?
Yep. I'm still doing them.
Nice. That's what's up.
More local ones next year because I've traveled all over. I spent a week in Hawaii for some races, which was awesome.
Mm. So what is it? Are you doing like marathons now, or like what like length races are you doing?
Everything from 5Ks just for fun to the longest one that I did was last September. It was 32 miles. It was an ultra fun.
Okay, gotcha. You follow David Goggins? Are you familiar with him?
I know him. Yeah, he's a really big name with the running community. Not so much
Gotcha.
with the obstacle course racing community because there's a big mix of both strength and speed and endurance with obstacle courses.
Right.
I know David Goggins is a big name with long endurance runs.
Mm. I
He's really
saw
good
something.
books, actually. I think I have one of his books on my shelf, but I can't remember which one right now.
Oh, he's got more than one out there.
I think so.
Gotcha.
How
I
about you?
just looked up one on Audible. It was the Can't Hurt Me, kind of
Okay.
giving his autobiography, and I was like, okay, like this is, you got a lot going on here, and I just maybe seen him in one or two interviews. Like I saw him on Joe Rogan, and like another interview where it was just him kind of talking about how he's been able to condition his mind. And I was like, that's a really powerful thing. Oh, there you are.
Oh, that wasn't showing earlier?
No.
It's not showing you moving at all. It's just
Well,
like,
it's because, is it, oh, I know what it's doing. I'm trying to, let me get this on the right device, and then it should be right. I just needed to come up on my computer for a minute.
okay. So what are you doing with most of your free time and your time off?
Um,
I see you're working on this
well,
project.
I mean, this has been something recently that I've kind of launched,
Okay.
and I hope this doesn't mess up. I just clicked in on my computer. Mm,
Well, something else
okay,
up, but it's still not
okay,
moving.
gotcha. So I'm here, and I just need to make myself the host. Okay.
There are multiple images, but it looks like there's one of you with headphones on.
Yep.
Okay, that looks right.
Let me. Okay. Wait. Okay, it's recording. Cool. Yeah. So right now, I took I took time off of work, or I left work back at the end of June. So
Mm-hmm.
then I came home the month of July. I didn't do a whole lot, and then kind of just got back into the swing of things with August as it relates to like getting back into a regular daily routine, like getting up, getting out of the house. I started using one of those 10K trainers actually.
Okay,
So I
nice.
do like jog and run.
So how's that going? How do you like it?
Pretty good. It's I'm trying not to think of it as much as just I'll do one day on, one day off, and
Mm-hmm.
just it has it as like you're only supposed to do 3 days a week, but I've got it overlapping since I'm just alternating my days,
Okay.
and it's working pretty good so far. I think I'm up to like week 6.
And how long is the program?
I want to say 10 weeks, maybe
Okay.
more. Yeah.
Have you done any races along with it, or just like you go out and you run? Because it's,
No, I haven't done any races.
there are a
I
lot of
just
races down here all the time. I ran a 10K this past weekend, and then
got you.
the weekend before that, there were two Spartan races. Ran both of those, and then
Mhm.
before that, there was another 10K. That was actually my fastest 10K yet.
I mean, what got you started doing all these races? Like, have you always been doing them since college? Like when I met you, or like just after school?
I did a couple of them in college just because I needed to do something with my life other than school.
Yeah.
Then I just focused on school. Actually, the first one where I really decided I love this, I want to stick with this and do this, like this is my hobby, was
Mhm.
2015. Linda Chang got a group of us together to go do Rugged Maniac. You remember her, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. I remember
And
Linda.
then,
She's the first person I met at Tech. Nicest
all
person in the
right,
world.
yeah. It was her, me, Bill, Mitchell, and one or two others.
Okay.
Was that when I got living? No, that was the next year. Yeah, I know it was the three of us and another one or two of her friends. And then I was just like, I love this. This is fun. I'm gonna do this. It's Savage Race, and then I did there's a mountain mud run up in Cleveland, Georgia. Then I did the Spartan Beast at the end of the year,
Okay.
and those were my only four that year. And then the next year I did 10 races, and the next year I did about 20 races. It just keeps building.
Nice. So it's like you definitely hit that, like you get that runner's high when you run.
It takes me a few miles. I actually
Yeah.
like longer runs because it takes me about 3 or 4 miles to really settle into a groove and be like, okay, this is my pace, this is my breath, this is where I need to be, and I can do this forever.
Right.
It takes a little while to get there, and that's
Okay.
what I like the half marathon to ultra marathon distances. It takes me a little while to get to a pace, but then I'm not going to stop as long as I
Gotcha.
eat enough.
Hmm. That's awesome.
The obstacle course races because there's a lot of variety. I don't like straight running. That's still boring.
Right.
But there's a lot of variety of climbing, carrying, crawling, do everything.
Wait, so do you say that you like the obstacle courses better than just like the regular running, or is it?
Yes.
Okay.
But I need to be a good runner to be good at the obstacle courses.
Right. Because I think I remember I think we talked about running maybe back in 2015, and that's the first time I ever did like an obstacle course, but it was one of those wipeout races where,
Okay. Like a
yeah,
short sprint and then an obstacle.
yeah,
Yeah.
with
Those were
those,
fun.
yeah. I mean, it was really fun because it's with that there's not so much running because everybody kind of
Yeah.
lines up at the obstacle course, but it's like, okay, you line up and you're gonna go down a slide, or you're like jumping through like this big old like thing of foam, and like people are just hanging out having the greatest time out there. So
Oh, yeah.
it just seemed like it, like however they put it together, I was like they did really good for that.
Yeah, there are a few that bring a really good environment. Like the atmosphere is one of just fun. No matter how challenging it is, it's fun, and everybody's
Right.
there to have a good time. There are some more competitive races. I think the Spartan race and probably Bone Frog are some of the more competitive obstacle course races where people are really serious about it.
Mm-hmm.
There's Rugged Maniac, Savage Race, Terrain Race. Like everyone's there to have a good time. They're tough, but they're fun. They're happy. They're playful. It's
Right.
a crowd.
That's awesome. What is it? So what have you been up to, man? Catch me up. Well, I mean, like, I guess I feel like we talked right around graduation time, but I feel like we've talked since then because, like,
A little bit.
yeah.
Let's see, when did we last talk? Last August, I moved back in with my parents because the office moved to a location 2 miles from their house.
Okay.
I was like, okay, I'll be here. I was with apartment management with them insisting there's no mold in your apartment. Here's pictures, there's mold. I'm leaving.
Yeah.
So not dealing with it. I'm coming home.
Mm-hmm.
About to move out again, actually, and moving to Sandy Springs. My girlfriend lives in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Got a job in Sandy Springs, and I met her at a Spartan race in West Virginia last year.
Nice.
Also, I now have a pet snake. Her name is Athena. She's a red-tailed boa.
Okay.
Probably about 4 feet long now. And she's still growing. She'll be about 6 to 7 feet, more than likely, potentially up to 9.
Got you.
I
That's
want
a thing.
It's a weird thing, but I love them.
That's cool. I mean, like, did you ever have snakes before, or just like you just decided to get one, or you guys both decided to get one?
I've wanted one since I was little.
Mm.
Like when I was a kid, I'd usually go out in the yard and catch them.
Yeah.
It actually turns out that's not legal, but 8-year-old Victor didn't know and probably wouldn't care.
Right. Right.
So I like Georgia Tech happened, and I forgot about all the things that I love because Georgia Tech does that to people.
Yeah, I see you got the sign back there.
Yeah, it's sucking my soul as we speak. Yeah,
Oh man.
my old roommate took me to Repticon, which is a big reptile convention. Just hundreds of snakes, lizards. There's sometimes little alligators. Like, it's cool.
Mhm.
Reptiles everywhere, and I was just like, I'm a child again. I want one.
Yeah, nice.
And so then the next time I came through town, I went and I got one because I wanted to not do an impulse buy of a living animal.
Mhm.
Waited, bought the cage set up and was ready, and then went and got her last April.
Okay. So you've had her just over a year now?
Yeah, it's about a year and a half.
It's pretty cool. So I guess, is it one of those things you're like, man, I finally get to have something I've always wanted?
Yeah. So I'd always wanted it and forgot that I wanted it and realized I wanted it, and now I have it. Is like, this is cool.
Nice.
It's fun to feed her. Last night was feeding night. She's quick.
What do you feed the snake?
Get her rats, probably about that long right now.
Ooh,
Around. I keep them frozen, and then
gotcha. Oh, okay.
I put them in hot water for a while just so they're warm, so she thinks they're alive.
Mhm.
And then dangle it with tongs in front of her, and she strikes it, wraps around it a couple times in like a half second.
Crap.
She's quick.
I've never seen that before. I remember freshman year, we had like over in the dormitories. I didn't go to Tech freshman year, but I went to Southern Poly before it became Kennesaw. But like one of the guys had one, but they almost had it like looking like it was a fish tank or whatnot. But I remember they're like, oh yeah, just check it out. And I guess a lot of the snakes, they just happen to be female or something like that.
Mhm.
But it's like they would have the snake get on you and like try and wrap around you. And I was like, I never grew up with pets or anything like that. And reptiles already creeped me out, and snakes for that matter of fact. And I guess that's when I found out snakes jump too, because I guess she was wrapped onto her owner. And then the next second she wants to like jump off onto the bed or like towards her cage or something. And he's like, you dummy, like you can't do that. Like get back over here. And I'm just sitting there watching like, okay, I'm just gonna go back to my room. Like, don't, you guys can have that. Like, I'm just gonna keep my books. You can keep your snakes and whatever else you want to get into. So I guess what would you say, like, going to, I know we both went to Tech and like we went out into the, I guess, the quote unquote real world just to like do life as adults as you're supposed to. Like what's that experience been like for you?
Boring.
Pretty much.
Boring. I don't like working. I like being productive, but you get up, you get in the office at this time, you do the same thing every day, all day long. You go home about the same time, and then you repeat it the next day. Is like, there's more to life than this.
Yeah.
There's so much more than this. And
Was
so
it
kind of like, how do I find what there is that's more than this? How do I afford to do it? And where do I find the time for it?
right?
So I'm kind of with that mindset. I found have you heard of FIRE?
Fire?
Community, financial independence and retiring early.
Oh no, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, I can send you links for a couple of different groups. They're actually in Atlanta. There's a once a month meetup at Orpheus Brewery. I can send you the invite the time that they get it set up. So
yeah, that'd be cool.
The basic concept, it's not really, retire early is in the name, but nobody really retires early. You just quit your 8 to 5 job and you do something else that gives you enough income.
Gotcha.
And the focus is I'm going to, for some amount of time, I'm going to make as much as I can.
Right.
As a broke college student for as long as I can.
Yeah.
As much of that money into investments as I can, or put it into, I'm starting my own business, or I'm going to get into real estate or something that's intended to turn around and make more money.
Right.
So then when you retire early or just reach financial independence, you don't need your employer anymore. You have a steady cash flow already rolling.
Right.
And so then you can do let's say I'm passionate about a part-time job. For me, it would maybe be I want to be a vet tech, but they make like 35K a year.
Yeah.
That's making ends meet. I want more than that.
Yeah.
Say that I reach partial financial independence and my investments are making me 25K a year.
Okay.
I can go and work as a vet tech for 35K a year, and I'm coming at 60K a year at the end of the year doing something that I like and letting my investments do the crap that I don't like.
Right. Right.
And everyone has their own way of doing it. You find your own passion, you find your own standard of living. Some people are like, I want to have my boat and my 10-bedroom house and still be financially independent. You got to make a lot of money.
Right. Right.
Put that all into right investments and index funds.
Yeah.
And good luck.
Do you feel like that's something that we missed, like being in college, where like I don't think I knew anything about money like while in college. Like I was kind of introduced to it, but like the whole focus, at least on my end, was just like, okay, you're in here to get a degree, to get a job, to like that's it. You're here. You're gonna get a degree. You're gonna get a job, and you're gonna go forward.
And we can go on a big rabbit trail on this one because I think that that's a big cultural deception, and even if you want to get cynical, intentional.
Yeah.
If we deceive the masses and just teach them all to be super productive robots, get them in deep debt, get a degree to just work for the rest of their lives, give them either no financial advice or bad financial advice, they're not going to be financially literate. They're not going to be able to get out of the rat race.
Yeah.
Let's keep doing it. So I've started doing a lot of personal financial education and just personal finance, different blogs and online communities, like I mentioned, to figure out what can I do to not end up like the majority. I don't want to be the majority.
Like, did you start doing that before graduating, or like once you graduated, got out and started working, and it's like
in January this year?
Okay, gotcha. No, that's fair.
Recent. Yeah, but it's like I've gotten into it, and it's just how cool it is. One, there's thousands of people doing it, and two, how possible it really is. Like one of the estimates, if you, assuming the standard of living that you have now, based on your income now, if you put away 50% of your income right now, then in 17 years you can retire with the same standard of living and the same expenses you have now. 17 years is nothing compared to a 40 to 50 year, what everybody does.
Right.
Put 50% of your income into investments, even if it's just an index fund that you throw the money in and forget about it.
Yeah, yeah. What's funny about that, because I feel like a majority of students kind of miss the bus, but I know that there are plenty of people that got it either while they were in college or before they got it in college. And I don't know if a lot of times those people are kind of looked down on, or they're just thought of like, okay, that person's a little weird, they're distracted, or like
because they're different.
But it's like they kind of get it. And I'm blanking on their last name, but I remember they had this it was like a semi TED talk that a group on campus had set up, and I went there with I think it was Adrian Garcia. We just happened to go there and check it out. I don't know if you remember him. He was like a civil structural major.
Was he the bodybuilder guy, or is that someone else?
No, I think that's somebody else. I think I know who you're talking about, though. But essentially, they had this conference, and I'm blank. I think her last name is Lawrence, Jasmine Lawrence. So she started this thing called Eden Body Works, and she was one of the speakers there. And she basically talked about how she had a problem where she had damaged her hair while she was an early teen, and she was basically trying to find a way to like grow her hair back, because like she didn't like that she was missing a good piece of her hair. And like through trial and error, talking with people and like figuring out how you would mix different products and things, she was able to get her hair to grow back, like make a small business out of that by like creating the products, to where I think by the time she was like 15 or 16, she'd already been on Oprah. She started like a full-time business, and her mom was working for her, so that by the time she's getting ready to go to college, like she's able to pay for her own schooling. And her thing was that like, I want to go to college and to be an engineer, to just like, I don't know if you call it have a normal life, but it's one of those things where it's that she still had a passion to do something. And I think like a lot of people are passionate to to learn, and you want to know like, okay, like there's this big glossy thing, like I want to be an engineer, I want to be able to like mess with robotics. I think that was her thing. And just all the while, so she went through, I think she did her bachelor's, maybe did her master's, but like went to work with Microsoft, all the while still managing her company on the side. And if you
Wow,
look it up
that's
today,
awesome.
it's like, it's this massive thing that's been churning and going. And I think it's great to see people like that, but it's interesting to know why, like, so many of us, like, we just get tunnel vision where it's, hey, you're making the grades, you're like you know everything, like you're on top of the world. But then once you get out, like, you kind of get smacked with this disillusion because you see the companies come and talk to you while you're in school. And I think, I don't know if disillusion is the thing, but like sometimes it seems like everybody's putting their best foot forward, but then either markets changed or things just aren't the way they appear to be. And like once you get into it, it seems like you're going through this sort of mundaneness. But I say all that to say, like, even though it may not be all that, like it definitely pays well, to where if you did well to manage your student loans, like it may not be terrible to like get out of. But I guess each person has a different story on that.
Yeah, and there's 100 different ways to evaluate how quickly you should go after them and when it stops being worth it.
Right.
And I paid mine off after 2 years just because I hated them.
Right. Same here.
I don't want debt. Don't want to deal with it. I'm paying someone money to continue owing them money. I'm not doing it.
Right. But that's good that you're able to do that. I mean, not a lot of people are able to say that, hey, like I get out of school, I pay off my debt.
Yeah.
And then the only thing you maybe have left is like a car note and rent.
Yeah.
And then even like we were talking about real estate earlier, for somebody that figures it out or has somebody along the way to tell them, okay, hey, like even while you're in school, I think Linda, maybe her parents figured this out, that while you're in school, we're going to purchase like a home where you can rent it out and then your friends can rent it out. And it's like all the while that's generating a source of income
for her and her parents.
Yeah, you're right.
While she's
and it's like
school,
that, right. And also that's providing a service to say, like if you need housing, like here's housing, because a lot of times it's not everybody can just get up and just buy a house, because afterwards you got to maintain it, you got to keep up with it or get in touch. I mean, not to say that it's difficult, it's just that like it's doable to navigate. It's just some things you have to figure out. But the thing I always I guess I can't keep smacking myself for this, but I remember a friend of mine, Nikojo, he gave me a book my freshman year, his sophomore year. When I first went to school, he told me, here's this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Make sure you read this and then come back to me.
I got that book about a month ago.
Yeah. And there's like, I was like, oh yeah, I'll do it. But I got so much studying to do. I got homework. They want this done. They want that. Yeah. And like, I didn't get it until after graduation. And I read it maybe within like a month to 2 months once I graduated and I was working. And as soon as I read it, it's just like the glass shattered in my brain. And I was just thinking, wow, I'm such an idiot. Like 5 years I missed out on this information. And it was right there in my hands. Like literally I had it.
Yeah. We just have to do something with it.
Right. That's awesome. So I don't know if this question would be kind of going backwards. I'm still playing with how to ask it, since I guess we didn't really do an introduction, but let me ask it like this. Who do you say you are?
That's never an easy question.
Just take it as you wish.
Because are we looking for like
whatever comes to mind?
Are we looking for the things that I like?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
This can be.
Just, I mean, start with your name, where you're from, what you do, what you like.
To start on the surface, okay.
Yeah.
My name is Victor Miller. I work as a applications engineer at a water treatment company in Duluth, Georgia. My hobbies are everything health and fitness related. I don't like running, but I do running because I like obstacle course races. And I lift every morning before I go into work. I go to yoga about once every week or two. Keep loose. Actually, I went this morning. That was very challenging after doing leg day 2 days ago. My hand rocks and I couldn't do anything. I like reptiles and I like heavy metal.
It's pretty good.
But
So,
that's the surface level who I am, because I'm thinking like, I hear that question and I try and go somewhere deeper, like what is my core identity?
so where, like, yeah, where would you take that then?
That would get into like, how compassionate am I? What kinds of things in the world really break my heart? Where do I want to contribute to the world?
Mm-hmm.
What and who do I love? How do I love?
Got you.
That's the kind of like, who are you that I think of.
Okay.
About yourself would be kind of what we discussed, and it's just a different framework sort of thing.
Right.
But who are you is like, I am the son to my parents. I am.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like you start coming off like Kanye. It's like, I am Warlock. I'm the Davici family. It's like, okay. I mean, hey, if that's who you say you are, I respect it. Like, so long as it's coming out of your mouth, like, whatever you say you are, I can't necessarily disagree with it. But I guess where I got the question from was, I was just thinking back to like a biblical passage where it's like Christ is talking to his disciples, and he asked the question like, yeah, who do you say I am? And it's like, who do the people say I am? Well, I think he asked, who do the people say I am first, and then who do you say I am? So I was like, what if I flip it and I say, who do you say that you are? Because it's like your opinion of yourself is what's most important. And then I could ask, like, who do people say that you are, if you pay any attention to that? But it's like some people don't bother with it, because it's like the more focused you are on your stuff, that the further you get in life. But other people maybe have the mindset of like, you do have to pay attention to your critics, because they kind of help shape and mold you into your best self. Because it's like your family's not necessarily going to tell you like, oh, like you shouldn't be doing that, or like, oh, like stop singing. Like they'll just tell you, oh, go on American Idol, like you have the best voice ever. And then you go out there and they're just like, I don't know who told you this, but this isn't for you, love. But it's funny because I think we jumped right to the topic that like we both agree with when it's talking about college and like what the experience was for that, kind of what the reality of it is, where it's sold a certain way, but then like there's a lot of work that you have to do to like get through it and then get to the certain level where you can actually get the job and say, okay, like now I'm able to pay off my student loans for one. And then once I do that, like once you're not necessarily under a loan burden, I think that maybe kind of takes away the disillusion or the veil where you're like, oh, okay, like you guys are lying to me. Like there's not a whole lot going on here. It's like, okay, like this stuff might be important and I understand why, like I understand why it is that like somebody built this up to solve a problem. It's just maybe a problem that I don't want to solve necessarily, if that makes sense.
Because it makes money for someone else.
Right. And then you realize it's like, well, if I can make somebody else this money, maybe I can make money for myself somewhere. It's like somebody else is human like me. They were able to come up with this idea over a period of time. And that's why it's like you give them their just due to where they're able to get somewhere, and then they bring people along to say, hey, I need you to build this and I'll pay you this amount. And it's like, I don't have money, I have time, so I'll give you my time for money. And
the thing is that money will always come and go and your time will always go.
Right.
You're not getting that back once you trade it in.
Is that a newfound viewpoint for you, or like?
No, I've had that for for a few years. That was one of
Gotcha.
the, I think that it got really strong probably when I started working.
Hmm.
Like, okay, I'm starting a new job and I know that first impressions matter. If I show up and I start working like I did at Georgia Tech,
Hmm.
I'm in the office at 8 a.m. and I'm out of the office at 11 p.m.,
Yeah.
expect this out of me indefinitely.
Right.
Look back on my life and say, what have I done?
Hmm.
Because life is more than work.
Yeah.
And so the longer that I did that, the more that I started building up a life outside of work, the more I started realizing, wow, my time is valuable.
Hmm.
There is so much that I want to do. Like just a couple days ago, I was on my way over to a friend's place and then they canceled on me. Like I was on my way. I was pretty pissed. Not like,
Right.
oh, I wanted to hang out. I'm upset. Why would you do this to me? Like, you wasted my time.
Right.
I could have sat in my room and read a book.
Hmm.
I could have watched an educational video on something. I could have done something to develop myself as a person better.
Hmm.
But I was on the road for an hour
Hmm.
as a friend canceled on me last minute. I'm not getting that time back.
Right.
So our time is honestly is the most valuable asset that we have. Probably
Yeah.
comparable to our health.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so the goal needs to be to work as efficiently as possible now to build whatever financial wealth we need,
Hmm.
and steal back our time.
Gotcha. True.
That our entire culture is built around work forever, then die.
Right.
I want to take that back.
Yeah. And I mean, I know you said you kind of got that mindset recently, but I feel like for as long as I've known you throughout college, like that was always something we talked about where it's that, or that's something that you kind of enlightened me to, whereas you don't want to work to live. You want to, yeah, you do want to work to live, but not live to work.
Correct. Yes. Yeah, that idea, I guess, yeah, at a broad level, like you're describing, yeah, that's always been my mindset. Lately, I've been getting more into the details with it.
Got you.
Make it happen, and then finding out there's communities that do make it happen.
Mm. So then, like in making it real for yourself, like have you been just journaling, writing down what it is that you want to do, as in like, okay, these are how many races I want to run this year, or this is where I want to be financially, this is like what I want to have in my life circle.
Yeah, there are a few things that I have definite goals. I don't like they're all long-term goals, but I do make the day-to-day steps to get there. One of them, I want to be financially independent by 45.
Mm.
I got 15
me too.
years to have something rolling.
Yeah.
To just say, screw you, full-time job.
Right.
And I want part of that financial independence to come out of real estate. I want to start with house hacking. Have you heard of hacking?
House hacking?
Yes.
No, what's that?
It's where you buy either a multi-unit home, like a duplex, or you just buy a multiple bedroom home, you live in one and you rent to roommates. It's a very simple.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of that. I guess I just never heard of the term house hacking.
Yeah, I hadn't until like January, February either.
Gotcha. Okay.
This is a real thing, and a lot of people push back on it. I want my space. I want my home. I want my privacy. But it's like, but you can have all of that in 10, 15 years.
Right.
When you have a couple of properties that are paying you to exist.
Right.
Making money just by breathing.
Yeah.
You made some sacrifices for about a decade or so.
Mm-hmm.
When you come out, you got it. You're fine. Get used to roommates.
Yeah.
And I've always had roommates. I've lived alone for about 6 months.
Okay.
In between two leases, it was nice. I'm a big introvert. I loved it. But other than that, I've always had roommates. Why would I break that for privacy when I can put that money into an investment and retire here?
Well, I mean, it depends on, I guess, have most of your experiences with roommates been all positive?
No, I had a terrible one just
okay.
weeks ago.
But I guess, were you managing it the whole time thinking like, okay, I'm saving this money and I have it to put towards something later?
Well, no, I just move if I have that situation for a longer term. If I'm the landlord, I can come out.
Gotcha. Right, that's true.
We're both on the lease. It's like, well, this sucks.
Yeah, because I remember probably what got the idea of real estate in my mind, aside from like the Rich Dad Poor Dad book, was like living off campus my last year at Tech because essentially when I look back at it now, it's that the owner or the landlord, he had a duplex unit where it's two houses side by each other.
Yep.
And they had 6 bedrooms and I think 2 bathrooms in each
I
unit.
lived in one just like that off of Belmead Avenue.
Okay.
So that was right. It was across the street from Kroger that was between Northside and Hemp Hill.
Okay. I know where you're at.
Yeah.
I was over there by the pizza place down the street from Rock City or
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
like between that pizza place and the other one.
Okay. Yeah. I know which one you're talking about.
So it's like, just thinking of that, it's like, okay, so if this landlord has one duplex, right? Or he has, one duplex. This is 2 individual buildings, which has 6 tenants in it. That's 12 total tenants. And each one of those are bringing you a minimum of what, $400?
Yep. Ours was $375 each, which that's cheap for the tenants.
Right.
But you put 6 of them together and then in 2 units.
Right.
Like that dude's
What's that, $2,400-$4,800?
Every month.
Yeah.
Like that's,
and I'm sure that's paying off. That's not just paying off the mortgage. That's paying off expenses, cleanup. If you want to, because he came by and he would do the actual work on the place. And somehow in my head, I had the wherewithal to kind of ask him about like how he was able to do that. And I think I still have his number in my phone. So I might just call him up and ask him like, because for him, he was an immigrant that came to the States and he went the engineering route. So that makes sense as to why he owns houses next to tech and be like, oh, I was an engineer. There's an engineering school. Engineering students need places to live. Just come over here and live.
And they're always going to be coming through.
Right.
Few tenants and students don't have like super high standards. Like I want the newest renovation.
No.
It's nice. It's clean. I can sleep here.
Right.
It's better than tech's dorms. It's not hard to beat that.
And I mean, what is it? You're paying half the price or a third of the price?
I think less. Dude, when I lived in North Avenue apartments, I think that it came up to like $1,200 a month.
Yeah.
A crappy room that had a nasty mattress and all that. Ugh.
I mean, regardless of that, it's like you have that room where you may be, it's a lot tighter, or you might even be sharing. So it's like, I think that the North Ave one, those are the ones that are facing the highway.
Yeah, you can see information.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think I stayed there for the first year just to kind of like get on campus and kind of move around. And luckily I met one of the guys in the engineering program, Aaron Morris. And he was like, hey man, I've got a place over here. Landlord's real cool. You can move in. Like one guy's going to move out.
Nice.
You want a spot? And then as soon as he told me that, and I was like, that's all you paying for rent? Like, heck yeah, I'm going to go over there. So like
I'm in.
Move over, like cut down on the loans that I have to take, like save some money from co-oping, use that towards like the thing. And then by the time you graduate, it's like maybe 20,000 in debt, while other people are graduating with like 50, 100,000, 200,000. I'm like, I don't know how you guys like for me, money's already a scary thing where like you don't have a lot of it. And I'm just like, I just don't want to be in debt. No. And then just seeing somebody that just has like debt pile up, and I'm just like, that's too much.
With it for 20 years or more. Like,
yeah.
That's not going anywhere.
Right. But it's good to see, like, I'm doing this podcast thing and figuring out social media, and the more I keep seeing more and more entrepreneurs that are doing their thing. Like some people, it's like waters you have to kind of navigate, because like whether you're always going to run into people wherever you go, and you have like people of integrity, like in the social media space, in like housing, and like anywhere that you go, and you can tell the ones that are kind of just like spamming, but then you see the other people that are like putting in the actual time. Like you have people that help people work on their credit, that they say, okay, like if you have bad credit because you got credit cards in college and you didn't understand it, you were just like just charging everything because you're like, yeah, I can spend it all. And now it's like you don't have a budget, or like you
Yeah.
don't have a good credit report, or for my case, like I didn't have any credit at all because I was like, stay away from credit. But then I think as I became more informed about money, I was like, oh, like I need a credit report in order to be able to actually buy things later on down the line. So then
Yeah.
like last year I got a credit card and I started using it to like pay rent or pay for groceries. So it's like I would pay for this, turn around and pay it for cash. So like I wouldn't buy anything that I wouldn't have money for. And essentially
Yeah.
like I was like, oh, I only have 6 months of credit. And now I look up, it's like, oh, you have 5 years of credit history and you paid off your loans, you paid off your car, like you're making consistent payments every month. And it's like, hey, you're good in our book.
Yep. And then
Awesome.
when you get used to credit cards, you can go through and find different cards that give you different cashback rewards or travel rewards or bonuses for all sorts of things.
Yeah.
There's some people in the financial independence communities that have found ways to like they can go on 5 international trips in a year and pay like $200.
Right.
It's like they're just the brilliant strategies of going through these cards. It's called travel hacking. And some of them even get to fly first class because they found a way to play the system. And the system is built to make money and get us in debt.
Yeah.
There are loopholes. There are ways to get through it and make money off of it. Like I'm not good at the travel hacking. I just started looking at that.
Right.
Because it's cool.
Yeah.
With credit cards, I get 3% on everything that I buy online. All of my flights, everything Amazon, everything at all online.
Nice.
Then I get 2% on groceries and 1.5% on gas. And I use different cards for different things that I need to buy to maximize my rewards. These are little things.
Right.
But then there are others that, depending on what your monthly bills look like, I know my cousins use one. It's got like a $95 annual fee. They get like 9% back on groceries. That's absurd.
Right.
It pays for itself in like 3 months.
Right. Right.
I had a $500 sign-on bonus. I think they get like 5% on gas.
What kind of card is that?
I think it's one of the Chase cards, I think.
Okay. Makes sense.
Absurd rewards, but it's got a fee. And the fee
Right.
usually makes people not want to do it because
Right. But because you just think fees are bad, but it's similar to like I got a Costco card because for a time I lived just down the street from Costco, and once I went there, it's like, okay, you go here, like you can either pay for like a regular membership, which is like $55, or you can pay for like an executive membership. But now I think they did this thing where you can have your Visa card double as your membership card, and they do the same rewards point system there.
Yeah.
And it almost works two ways, where when you shop at Costco, you get some reward points, but then when you shop with your card, you get separate rewards. So like, I think last year I got a couple $100 for it. And it's like, okay, if I get more than $100, I've already paid for my card. So essentially it's like what you're paying for and the experience, like just taking the time to either do the research yourself or get with somebody that knows it, because it's like there's so much information out there, but just getting started with like there's a ton of people in Atlanta that know about the credit. I think the real estate thing you've got, I'm definitely looking into that for 2020, like probably look at property around the Atlanta area, because I stayed at an Airbnb just like 10 minutes from the airport, so I could catch like a 5 a.m. flight. And the guy was telling me, he's like, oh yeah, man, this area right here is pretty good because it may not look the best right now, but like it was easy to go ahead and get a property here and kind of do some internal renovations.
Yeah.
And they're getting ready to buy up like the whole property. And it's like once the state kind of gets it, it's like the price is going to go up, because once they get it, they basically like pretty it up, and then from there it's like, okay, well, once the area is looking better, this is happening and that's happening, it's just things improve a little bit.
Property values go up.
Yeah.
And I've heard that College Park and East Point are good
That's
areas
what it
to look
was.
to invest.
East Point. Yeah, that's where it was at.
Yeah, that they're up and coming. They're not there yet, but
Yeah.
next 4 or 5 years they're developing. The same sort of thing that happened in like the Midtown area. In a lot of
Mm,
area, Old Fourth Ward was like garbage
mm,
5 years ago.
yeah.
Now it's absurdly expensive.
Gotcha.
And that was a large part of that was because of the Beltline connecting to that area. And just
Mm.
lots of business, bringing lots of rich kids over who are living off of their parents' credit cards.
But I guess
Yeah,
the big thing that gets kind of brought up with like the communities being upgraded a little bit is like the gentrification thing.
yeah.
And I guess I've heard of it and I've kind of seen it because when I went up to DC 2 years ago to visit, and I stayed at somebody's Airbnb, and they happened to be there while I was staying there. So it's like they had like we were saying earlier, they had the room upstairs and I had the room downstairs.
Uh-huh.
And essentially I was talking with this lady because she works with the government and she'll travel overseas. And she was saying that like she was saying like, yeah, gentrification is a real thing. And it's like, she can't stand it. But she's like, well, I'm kind of the problem because I'm moving in here to where it's not looking good. But like the not to jump around too much, but the first time I went to Philly back in August, and one of the guys, like an Uber driver that I was riding with, he was like, it used to be pretty bad, but gentrification's actually helped out some areas where it's kind of pushed the crime out from where it normally is. But I guess I said all that to say there are people working on improving housing for people. And it's like somebody said this to me, is like a house is a step up for anybody, like any form of house, if it's like on the lower end or if it's like up on the higher end, because it's like if you're homeless and you don't have a home, like, and somebody offers you a home at an affordable price that you can kind of manage, like, hey, like now you got 4 walls and a roof over your head. That's a step up from being on the streets or having to go from like one place to another. And like I definitely want to look into either things around Atlanta, like look at things around the community where I'm at and try to figure out what's working and who's trying to make what work. Because a lot of times from the outside looking in, it always just looks like, oh, like nothing's working here, like the world's terrible, things are falling apart. But it's like that's not the case.
Turn off the news.
Yeah, it's like exactly. It's like somebody's always working. There may be a soup kitchen, there might be this, and now with like social media and things, there's so much like positivity to it when people are able to, like somebody that's young and they understand the technology, they're able to take it and say, oh, hey, you own like, do you own a small business? I can help you market yourself and like help you put your pictures online because like I appreciate the service that you provide. Like if you get a haircut, it's like, okay, like, hey, do you have a website? Do you have like a Booksy? Are you on this platform? Are you on that platform? They're like, no, I don't know how to do that. It's like, okay, like I'm in the area. Maybe I can do that for you. Like, no, I don't necessarily need any money from you. And I saw that happen with a rapper that I follow from Houston, Texas. His name's Tobe Nwigwe. And I met him I met him 3 years ago in Atlanta for the first time. And he connected with Eric Thomas, this guy that I follow. And I kind of saw some of his motivational videos back in 2013, like getting ready to transition out of college. And just kind of seeing Tobe do his thing was like, he started out rapping. Like he didn't want to rap because his dreams were to go to the NFL because he played college football, Division I, all starter, like defensive player of the year, all of that. But when it came time to like make that transition, I guess he didn't make the cut. And that's like a big blow to an athlete where it's like had all your dreams basically lining up to do that thing, and then it just doesn't work out. Now you got to figure out what's next.
Yeah, all the work to be that good and then still not be good enough.
Right.
That sucks.
But like, essentially, he connected with Eric Thomas because he started a community program to make purpose popular.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of give back to the community and reach out to kids. And he was like, hey, I think he was like, if you could come speak to our event, that would be great. That would really like uplift the kids. And ET like hit him back, and he was like, hey, like next time I'm in the area, I'll come through and I'll speak with speak to you and your crew. And essentially he made that happen. So he went there, spoke with him. They kind of connected. And I think like he spoke with one of ET's, Eric Thomas's right-hand man. And he essentially, they were hanging out in the car or something like that. And he started just like freestyling off of a beat. And the guy kind of looked at him like, wait, what's that? He's like, oh, nothing. It's just something I used to do. And he's like, you need to do that. And he's like, how do I do it? And he's like, figure it out. So he started going online, doing his research, and then I think he put out something. It wasn't as consistent, but maybe like put out a small album. And then he jumped on Instagram and started doing these Get Twisted Sunday videos every Sunday, where he would be getting his hair twisted by his now wife, I think then girlfriend. And she would, as she's twisting his hair, he's rapping or freestyling to a beat that's either like a popular beat or something, and people were just like, oh, okay, like this guy's, he's got bars, and they like put the subtitles there, and like over time he kind of built up a following, and now he's got a show that's going on December 8th in Atlanta, and I was like, oh man, I want to buy tickets, and now I realize, crap, I might have overbooked myself there. So it's like, if I don't get to go, I'll probably have to sell my tickets back, and it'll work out for the better though.
Yeah.
But it's just seeing something like that where you have somebody that starts like grassroots. They're like, okay, I'm going to start with what I have. I think he started with like a camera phone. And then after that, somebody was just like, you got the phone too close to your nose. It's like, I can see up your nostrils. They're like, I've got a camera. I've got a camera if you want. He's like, okay. So then the person just liked what he did, and of no charge, he just went and started filming it. And then people like Erykah Badu, Dave Chappelle, the comedian, saw it. They liked it. They're like, hey man, keep doing your thing. And then like he went on, I think it's a like news rap radio show, Sway in the Morning. And then he went on like BET, did some shows with them, and now he's like touring the country, putting on his own performances and things like that.
Nice. Yeah, he came out of like nowhere.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's the thing. It definitely seems like he came out of nowhere, but it's just like just kind of doing that work in the dark that nobody sees, but like putting it out on a platform that people can actually see, and then they recommend it to their friends, and they say, oh, like you should really go check this out because this person's saying something. He's not just out there like looking to be seen. But it's always a pleasure talking with you, man. Like,
yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, too long.
I didn't know you were back in the Atlanta area. Well, Dalton, sort of.
Well, yeah, I just got back this way like late June, July.
Yeah.
And then like now getting into the swing of things, I was like, okay, let me reach out and see, just kind of connect back with people, because like I know I kind of like teeter-totter from time to time where it's like I'll go super hard trying to connect, and then like I'll fade because I'm like, that's not my natural strength, where it's like constantly being chatty or like be able to like maintain so many relationships. But I'm like,
I'm the same.
It's like, just try something. And I mean, what works works. And then the people that you're able to keep up with, you just maintain those relationships.
Yeah. Well, let me know when you're down in the city area again.
Okay. Well, I'll be there tomorrow.
I'm
If
flying
it's
out tomorrow. I'm going
ah
of course.
well,
Of course.
I'll definitely let you know. I'll be around for a little bit. Unless something changes next week, I'll be around.
Okay. Yeah, let me know. We'll figure out a time to get together.
Cool. Appreciate you, Victor.
It's good talking, dude. Have a good
Take
evening.
care.
You too.